For my research, I chose to tackle the issue of institutionalized racism. Institutionalized racism can be described as structures, policies, practices, and norms resulting in differential access to the goods, services, and opportunities of society by race. Some examples of institutionalized racism are access to quality education in low-income communities, racial profiling, and lack of representation. This study is significant because it allows us to examine common issues from a systematic view. Despite efforts to combat segregation in school systems, like the decision of Brown versus Board of Education Systems, and the implication of bus routes, racism has still managed to creep into the education system. These efforts oftentimes created a white backlash. White parents withdrew their children from public schools in favor of private schools or moved to whiter school districts. A more recent development facilitating white flight from multiracial public schools has been the growth of charter school programs. As a result, the wealthiest communities, which usually are predominantly white, are able to pay more for their school systems and typically spend more per capita per pupil. This gives birth to what Kozel describes as savage inequalities, which are public school systems where poor students are taught in unsafe, overcrowded, decrepit buildings with minimal school supplies and minimal access to technology. Schools like these are less able to attract quality teachers and contribute to a lower quality of education to minorities, especially if they are poor. The research question I decided to tackle was, how would increased knowledge and awareness of institutionalized racism influence minority students' academic performance in public schools? After dissecting articles and interviewing people on this topic, here is what I found. Economic and social class are major variables that lead to educational inequality. However, race is also a significant factor. Many poor white students are able to see their white teachers as role models, while many students of minority do not get this same luxury. According to a study conducted by Seth Gerhardsen and Constance A. Lindsay of American University, Cassandra M.D. Hart of UC Davis, and Nicholas Papageorge at Johns Hopkins, having at least one teacher that is the same race as you in third, fourth, or fifth grade reduces your probability of dropping out of high school by 39%. And by high school, African American students that had one African American teacher had much stronger expectations of going to college. Institutional racism can affect individuals personally as well. Yves Gomez, an Indian undocumented resident of the U.S., remembers going through school being referred to as illegal by his counselors. According to NPH student Victoria Jackson, institutionalized racism is something that we have become so used to that sometimes we cannot even recognize it. A panel of youth activists that appeared in front of over 1,000 educators at the National Education Association's Joint Conference on Concerns of Minorities and Women explained addressing the issue of institutionalized racism isn't something that will be fixed overnight. However, the first step is acknowledging there is a problem. In conclusion, institutionalized racism could be the reason why many minorities are struggling in our education system. Another possible research question could be, how would the knowledge and awareness of institutionalized racism influence teachers' expectations on minority students' academic performances? That's all.